What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. We actually got a new car that's going to be on the channel today. My friend actually just picked it up not too long ago, and surprisingly enough, for someone who never does work on his car, he's actually started to work on it really early on. So he just bought some spacers, he bought some other goodies. So we're going to be putting that on his car today. You should be seeing this car a lot more on the channel as we kind of get more and more into it. Should be good right there. All right, so today we're gonna be working on a 2020 330i, and this thing is literally brand new, basically. Oh yeah, we're gonna be putting on some spacers in the front, spacers in the rear, and then we're also gonna be blacking out a few things. The grille, what else?
Tips, exhaust tips.
Oh yeah, the exhaust tips. So we got some black exhaust tips. But I think we're gonna separate the videos so that we do the spacers today, get these a little bit out, and then do the grille and the exhaust tips in the next video. So stay tuned for that. So from the rear, it's not too bad fitment, but you could tell it still can come out a little bit more. And then looking at it from the top, yeah, a 0.5, that's what we got. We got a 15 mil spacer for the rear, and then a 25 mil spacer for the front. So I think it should bring it out where you can see just the edge of the tire right here, and then for the front it should be the same. We didn't go like the wheel, we kind of measuring based off the tire. This one isn't too bad, but yeah, it should make it a little bit more aggressive. Alright, so this is what we got. This looks like the 25 mil for the rear. And make sure when you guys are getting these, again, the extended lugs or bolts with it as well, because you don't want to use what they give in the car. It's not going to be long enough, and it's going to make it a little bit unsafe. And this should be, yeah, so this is going to be the 15 mil for the rears. This one looks used, and then this one looks brand new. Yeah, this one looks new, used. You can kind of see it. There's like scratches.
But like, is it bad?
No.
I mean, does it really matter if it's like used though?
No, not really. All right, so we got everything out. We got the two 25 mil spacers, the two 15 mil spacers. You got the new extended compared to factory lugs, and then the very extended lugs. So I think these go with this, these go with this, or maybe vice versa. So I think these might be going together, and then these might be going together. But we'll figure that out. Now we just gotta start taking off the old wheels one by one, and then start putting these on. So obviously, your first step is gonna be to take off the whole wheel. And this one is gonna be 17. Yep, so 17 lug, and we just pop all these off. Now, if your car does have a locking key, you're gonna need the key for it to get that off, or a locking lug. Just like that. So when buying a spacer, there's a few things that you want to take into account. One is gonna be the overall width of the spacer. So like I mentioned before, this is a 15 mil spacer. And then a few other things that you're gonna want to take into account is your car's hub-centric bore or hub bore. For this car, I think it's like a 60 something mil. Most other BMWs are like 72.6. This one is like a 60 something. So you want to make sure that your car's hub right here fits right into this. And luckily for us, this is already greased up, so I don't have any anti-seize. Usually you want to put some on there, but now this should fit right up on top of this, pretty snug, which it is. And from there you just tighten it down and you should be good. So you just put that on, line up the holes. And this one does seem like it could use different bolt patterns, but we did get a specific spacer for 5x, what was it? 5x115, 5x1, what was it? Yeah, I forgot. But whatever it was, we made sure to get vehicle specific bolt pattern, and this should sit flush just like that, and should be good. So now here's the stock lug that came on the car, or the bolt that came on the car, compared to the new one. So this one is a lot longer, and the reason for that is it needs to clear this, get through the wheel, and get to the hub right here. So you're gonna need that extended lug just for extra security. You don't want your little tiny 2-3 threads that's connecting to rip off while you're driving. So let's throw the wheel back on, get these extended lugs on there, and that's it. Now, one of the downsides is we won't be running a locking key or a locking bolt now, but we'll just save this if we ever take the spacers off. So now we just want to put the rest of them on. We don't want to tighten them down, so no ugga-duggas, just a little bit hand tight or a little bit past hand tight. There we go. So according to tires.com, the torque spec we want to get to is 140 Newton meters. So let's go ahead and set the torque wrench to that and then tighten all these down. $140 exactly. So now we just lock this and tighten them by hand. So now we got it all tightened up. We just bring the car down and see how she sits. Can you tell much of a difference? Oh, that sounds good. So this is how it's sitting right now with the spacer. From the top, you can see the poke of the tire, which is exactly what we wanted. It's not too far out, but it sits flush. So obviously the car does need to come down a little bit, and eventually that will happen. But for the time being, I think it's doing the job. It's not too absurd where the tire's sticking out like crazy. But let's go ahead and start on the front. The front is gonna make more of a difference because we got a full 1-inch spacer in the front, and it's pretty sunken in there. But yeah, on the front it should make a good difference because when you look at the top, you can barely see the top of the wheel. It's way flushed in there. So let's quickly do this one. Same process as the last, but there is one small difference because for a bigger spacer like this, you have 2 sets of lug nuts that you're gonna use. So here's the main difference between the rear spacers and the front spacers. For the front, you're gonna end up using 2 sets of lug nuts, so you're gonna be using 10 on one wheel, and you're gonna take the factory lugs and you're gonna put them in the hole that's recessed right here, tighten down the actual spacer to the entire hub assembly, and then from there, these ones, the new ones, are gonna go through the wheel into the spacer. So all this needs to get tightened down first, that way the spacer is good to go and that's not wiggling around. And then from there, you're gonna put the tire back on, which is right here, then take the extra set of lugs and tighten those up as well. Same process as the rears. So let's quickly go ahead and do that and get this done. So following literally the exact same process on the rears, we're gonna go ahead and lower this, see how it looks. Ooh, too fast. Oh yeah, so much better. That's like perfect fitment. Yeah, you can't tell at all from the sides, but if you come look right here, you can literally see the edge of the tire, which is exactly what we were looking for. And my hand is like flush against both right now. So yeah, I think the 1 inch in the front was perfect. We could have gone 1 inch in the rear too, but I think then it might have poked out a little bit too much. Because right now you can see the tire from this top angle, and otherwise you might have seen like too much tire. But yeah, so far so good. So from the rear, this is kind of how it's sitting now. Like I said, not too much of a difference, but compared to this side. So one more. Sitting right behind the rear tire, and then right behind the rear tire. Yeah, it's a good amount noticeable, especially in person. I'm not sure how well you guys can tell on camera, but let's go ahead and finish up this side. The other two sides were pretty easy to do, so let's go ahead and finish this, get the car pulled out, and get a final look at it. It is 95 degrees outside. I'm not sure why we chose today to work on the car, but it is so hot. Like, I am dripping sweat everywhere. But we got all the spacers on. The car looks a lot more aggressive actually in person compared to how it's looking on camera. But in my opinion, I think it's worth it, especially for the fronts. Like, you can see the tires from the front poking out just a little bit. Once this car goes a little bit lower, it's gonna look absolutely great. But now we're gonna throw on a little spicy touch, get rid of these chrome exhaust tips, and then throw on these gloss black ones, which I think will add a nice little touch to the car. We are planning on blacking out as much of the car as possible, so eventually we'll get rid of these emblems, black out some of the tail lights, black out the chrome around the windows and stuff. So the car is just gonna be like a very stealthy looking car. Obviously, it's not a G80 M3, but we wish it was. So let's go ahead and get these old exhaust tips off. And I think for that, it's literally the same way these are gonna go on. There's this little slot right here that has those two clips, so you're gonna need to push those two clips apart and then pull out. So we need to kind of do that at the same exact time. So before we throw these on, let's go ahead and get the other ones off. Yeah, so literally I had him pulling the car, or pulling the tip towards him, and then I just went in from the bottom of the car and pushed these little clips away from the little tab that's there. So now it's literally as easy as sliding these on. So does it matter which one goes where? I think this just slides on now. There we go. So the new gloss black versus the old, I guess, stainless steel. But yeah, it makes a good difference. I wish it stuck out a little bit compared to the factory ones, but it is pretty like sunken in there. But overall, still looks good. So let's quickly get the other one done, get out of the sun, because I'm dripping. There we go. Nice. It's literally so hot. My camera's turning off every few minutes because it's overheating. But let's go ahead, pull the car out. Honestly, on camera, you guys can probably not even tell the differences that we just made today. But in person, I think it looks great. So let's go ahead and pull this out, clean up the garage a little bit. And next week, or whenever he comes back, we're gonna be blacking out this entire thing. We're not gonna be painting it or anything. We do have a full replacement. So if you're interested in the G20 models, we'll show you guys like a step-by-step on how to remove this and then put the new one on, which is sitting right here. I'm not even gonna open it today. So you guys come back for that. I mean, the car looks great. I'm a huge fan of it. And it's a twin turbo. So you get all the luxuries of a BMW, you get the speed of a BMW. Let's go ahead, get a little test drive in. Make sure a wheel doesn't fly off. All right, go on it. So yeah, you're gonna continue seeing this car on the channel. We've got a bunch of other stuff that we still wanna do to it. But for today, that's gonna be it. We got the spacers on, we got the new exhaust tips on, and then more stuff coming pretty soon. So definitely stay tuned. If you like BMW content, obviously we got the E30 going to Chris Botto pretty soon. We're gonna see that next week again. And then hopefully soon we got some Dodge mods coming up too. So I still want a front lid for that and a bunch of other stuff. So if you haven't already, go down and subscribe, hit the like button, comment what you thought of the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.